All right, welcome back, guys. I am an avid herpetologist, and I'm doing another quick video tonight before I go to bed. We just wrapped up a live stream not too long ago. Hope you guys were there. We had a lot of fun tonight, but I knew I had to make one more video as it's been an interesting day. So when I woke up this morning, I was not expecting to find any spoilers for BT12 already, much less was I expecting the spoilers that we actually got. So I woke up this morning to a plethora of messages on multiple Discords, as well as private messages, letting me know that there was a very exciting spoiler that I had to see, and boy were they right. So there's two cards primarily that were spoiled today, and we're going to talk about those here at depth. I'm trying to keep this to at least a little bit of a shorter video, but we're definitely going to have to talk a little bit about these cards. So without further ado, we're just going to go ahead and get right into it. The very first cards spoiled for BT12 are Machinedramon support, and oh my goodness, are these exciting Machinedramon support. So to begin with, this is actually a card that I had speculated on a long time ago in one of the Discords that I was in as potentially getting seen down the line. Chaosdramon X-Antibody. Now, this is a pretty obscure X-Antibody card, or X-Antibody Digimon, but here they have dropped it on us, and oh my goodness, is it a doozy. There's a lot to unpack here. To begin, just looking at the base stats, it is an impressive specimen with a play cost of 13, DP of 13,000, and 5 to Digivolve from both a black or a red, level 5. So pretty easy to see that this is already looking to take up some spots in our level 6 spaces in typical Machinedramon lists. But the other abilities that this card has are wild. So we're going to go through each one of them. We're going to talk a little bit about each one of them. To begin with, it is the first of the members of this archetype to have the effect where it can Digivolve 2 from Machinedramon or Chaosdramon. This is really interesting to me. So obviously Chaosdramon being a kind of slide evolution for Machinedramon, thus far we have seen two different versions of Chaosdramon that have been able to Digivolve onto our Machinedramons. So that part is pretty expected. But of course, as an X-Antibody, this I would have expected to have just Digivolved off of Chaosdramon, but that is not what we're getting here. This can Digivolve off of any Machinedramon or Chaosdramon for that cost of 2. So that's already a pretty unique effect compared to what we've gotten up until this point. Now, we're going to go over these other effects because this is where things start to get off the rails. To begin with, start of your main phase, you can place one Digimon card with Cyborg or Machine from your trash at the bottom of this Digimon's Digivolution cards. I'm pretty sure start of the main phase is proper translation. I've actually seen the translation for this change a couple times during the course of the day. One of them just said during the main phase. I'm pretty sure start of the main phase makes the most sense. But any Cyborg or Machine, I've talked about it enough times. You know I'm a sucker for generic Cyborg and Machine support as far as Machinedramon decks go. So this is really cool. Not only is this going to be able to tuck useful inheritables from level 4s, 5s, underneath, but it also lets you even tuck your Machinedramons and Chaosdramons from your trash under this card as well. And we're going to talk about why that's so important here in just a moment. So this is going to be able to recycle your Guardiamon inheritables if that's what you want to do. Really, the sky's the limit. You can just keep stuffing materials under this. And of course, you can keep bringing in level 5s to recur material and give inheritables as well. So this is the very first time we've had a Machinedramon support that can actually keep replenishing and keep generating new materials turn after turn. That's going to make this card very difficult to deal with if you don't deal with it fast. It's just going to keep accruing that value until it is so scary that it has either ended the game already or you're not going to be able to get it off the field. And the big reason for that is going to be our next effect here. During all turns, this Digimon gains all effects of Machinedramon and Chaosdramons that are in this Digimon's Digivolution cards. Now, it's worth mentioning that this is not going to do a whole lot as far as Machinedramon support for EX1. EX1 Machinedramon is not super phenomenal with this effect. However, it is worth mentioning that if you were to have this card in play and tuck a Machinedramon underneath, you will be able to maintain its protection effect for removing 2 materials and its immunity to DP reduction. So basically, it makes the card harder to kill. But this is also going to be the first time where we are going to be able to have EX3 Chaosdramon and EX1 Machinedramon's protection effects combined together. That is going to make this card absurdly difficult to get rid of if you can actually get an effective stack going. This card is going to be phenomenal. Now, I will say right off the bat, I do think this card is going to be a bit of a build around. I don't think you can just slap this into a current Machinedramon list and expect good results. It's a great card, but you're going to need to kind of build around it if you want to get the best use out of it. I mentioned several times on the stream tonight, I actually think this might be the card that will finally start to push EX1 Machinedramon out of the Machinedramon archetype, which is weird to say, I know. But I do think that the synergies that this card has stack much better with the current Chaosdramon, especially from EX3, more so than EX1 Machinedramon. Now, it is worth mentioning that the main reason I'm saying all of this is because this card is going to benefit very much from on Digivolve effects. You will not benefit from on play effects. So, for instance, if you have this card in play, even if you Digivolve it onto a Machinedramon, EX1 Machinedramon, you're not going to be able to tuck 5 sources and gain 5 memory. That doesn't work. However, you will be able to, if you Digivolve onto EX3 Chaosdramon, get that on Digivolve effect. So if you Digivolve EX3 Chaosdramon onto something, tuck 3 sources. Then you have the option of Digivolving this on top of that Chaosdramon. You then should be able to get, if I understand rulings correctly, tuck another 3 sources. Because when this Digivolves, it should draw your card and then see the cards in its sources. And then, since it's going to be considered as having the effects of Chaosdramon, it should then also be able to tuck another 3 sources immediately. That is huge. So being able to Digivolve up into EX3 Chaosdramon, get your 3 sources, go into this, get another 3 sources, you are already coming out of the gates blazing with power before you even have to worry about the start of main phase, tuck more sources underneath. And as I mentioned, this does allow us, if you have a Machinedramon in play with a Chaosdramon Digivolved onto it, or you just Digivolve onto one or the other and then tuck the other one at some point, you are combining their protections. So Chaosdramon from EX3 has superior protection to EX1 Machinedramon in the sense that you can prevent it from leaving play by returning to hand, returning to deck. It is much more resilient and keeps itself in play. It is stickier. However, it does have the weakness, unlike EX1 Machinedramon, you can reduce its DP. So if you Wyvern's Breath a EX3 Chaosdramon, it will die because its DP is going to get reduced to 0. You can't save it at that point. It doesn't matter if you detach the materials, it's going to go down. So being able to combine DP reduction protection on top of the superior protection from EX3 Chaosdramon, that's wild. Like, that is a huge deal. I think, again, this card is going to be phenomenal. Now, it does have one final effect to talk about. All turns, once per turn, when this Digimon would be deleted, trash the top card of your opponent's security. So again, make sure we clarify here how this is going to work if it would be deleted. So basically that means it's going to hit the same criteria as detaching 2 material for any of our Chaosdramons or Machinedramon. So if it would die, you can detach 2 materials, but since it was going to potentially die, you also get to trash one of your opponent's security. Again, heavy aggression. Attach this to a blocker inheritable, or if your opponent tries to get rid of it on their turn, if you try to clash with something, anytime this would potentially be deleted, trash that opponent's security once per turn. So this is, again, pushing more aggression. Very similar to the Metal Tyrannomon that we know is coming in BT11. So this deck is continuing to get these cards that are just pushing it in a more aggressive direction where your opponent's security is just getting shredded. Like, it's just getting absolutely demolished. I really like this card. And again, I think this is another cool example of going in a new direction and providing a new angle to approach the Machinedramon archetype from. Now, I want to clarify a little bit more because I did mention that I do think this is going to start pushing Machinedramon out of the archetype. I don't think it's going to push it out completely. I want to make sure that is very clear. There is going to be a couple of different adjustments that I think are going to start being seen as Machinedramon starts to progress, especially once we get to EX3. So when EX3 comes out and the new Chaosdramon is released, there's really going to be 2 primary ways that I see this deck being played, and I think it's going to be 2 very similar ways to the comparisons that I just made between red base and black base in my Machinedramon looking forward video. You are either going to be playing red base, which is still going to be kind of that glass cannon, draw a bunch of cards very quickly and go for kind of Mega Zoo plays, and there's going to be black base. Black base, I think, is still going to be better off building from your eggs, building stacks, benefiting from tamers like Kazu, and playing a more kind of robust, long game as opposed to the early game that red base is trying to play. Either way that you build that, I think it's going to determine how your ratios are going to look. Especially in red base, I think EX1 Machinedramon is going to stay super relevant no matter what happens in the coming formats. With that being said, if you are committed to playing a black base where you are building up stacks, which again is probably what I personally am going to continue doing, I think Black Base is going to benefit more from EX3 Chaosdramon moving forward than it potentially would be from Machinedramon. Now, until we hit this new Chaosdramon, I still think Machinedramon is going to be best as the centerpiece for the deck. It's still going to be the thing that everything rotates around. EX3 Chaosdramon is phenomenal, but it's not going to necessarily push Machinedramon out. You're going to see decks that may swap between 3 and 4, 4 and 3, but Machinedramon is still going to be very prominent in the archetype, especially since Attack of the Heavy Mobile Digimon is still mostly tailored to Machinedramon. It is usable to blitz in EX3 Chaosdramon, especially for game-ending plays, but since you're not gaining any memory back, the primary thing you're going to want to do with that is still going to be playing Machinedramon because you're not passing them 12 memory at the end of that turn. As much as EX3 Chaosdramon is a phenomenal card, you do have to pass a full 12 memory. You don't gain any back if you choose to blitz it in that fashion. Most of the time, you're going to want to be digivolving EX3 Chaosdramon onto a stack that's in play, or of course, onto one of your already in play Machinedramon. The reason I'm saying that this is going to tailor more to black builds is black builds are going to be able to benefit from actually digivolving onto a stack more so than I think that red build will be able to. Now, again, positives and negatives to each. I'm not saying that red build is going to be bad, better, worse. I'm not saying anything like that. I'm saying they're going to be different. I do personally believe that EX3 Chaosdramon will benefit potentially more from having stacks to digivolve onto. Basically, the big benefit that's coming in EX3 is you're going to be able to build up from an egg, and by going into EX3 Chaosdramon, you will have a Machinedramon level threat, meaning a big, sturdy body with a bunch of scary inheritables that you didn't have to hard play. You can digivolve up into that now. So for 4 memory, instead of 7, after gaining the memory with Machinedramon, you'll be able to have 4 inheritables and 3 lives, just like you would with Machinedramon. And I think that's going to be very relevant, especially, again, when you can build decks that can take advantage of building up into it and not having to hard play. These are just things that I think we should be keeping in mind as we move forward, but we'll talk a lot more about that once we get closer to EX3. Back to this guy, Chaosdramon X. Most of the reasons that I just mentioned are why I think this is going to start kind of pushing Machinedramon out a little bit. Specifically, this card benefits, as I mentioned, much stronger from digivolving on top of a Chaosdramon from EX3 than it does from an EX1 Machinedramon. I do not think that means that we are not running Machinedramon anymore, but I do think we are going to start cutting copies, which is not something I had even considered until I read this card. I think the deck is going to start revolving a lot more around EX3 Chaosdramon and building those stacks rather than trying to play that Megazoo game. I personally, I could be wrong, I think that this card lends itself much stronger to that playstyle, the stack building playstyle. With that being as it is, I could see potentially running 3 Chaosdramon, maybe 2. I would say probably 2 is what I'm most kind of playing with in my head, copies of EX1 Machinedramon, and then some number of these. I would say probably like 2, 3, and 3 would probably be my ratios. Don't know though. We'll have to see again as we move forward and how this deck kind of develops in the Japanese format, but I am really excited to see this guy come out and play. But those are kind of my thoughts as far as this particular card goes. I think it's going to change the way we kind of approach deck building for Machinedramon. Because, like I said, this is not something that is just generically good. You just throw it into anything. If you digivolve this onto just a random level 5, it's not going to get a lot of immediate value. You're not tucking anything until the next turn, and he himself has no inherent value. This card needs, basically, to be digivolved onto Machinedramon or Chaosdramon, and I think it very much needs to be digivolved onto EX3 Chaosdramon. Now, yes, there is going to be a new Machinedramon coming out in BT11 that is going to provide support and be usable for this, because it does have an on-digivolve that this guy can make pretty good use of. However, my thoughts on that Machinedramon still haven't really changed. I think that Machinedramon really needs to prove that it can make some big explosive plays before it would ever have a chance of replacing either of the EX Machinedramon Chaosdramons. Those cards are still easily the biggest reason this deck is going to be scary. So I personally think that this is probably best with the EX1 and EX3 cards. I don't necessarily think that it's going to be worth playing with the BT 11 Machinedramon, but again, I could wind up being wrong, but just reading the cards at face value and using my personal anecdotal experiences, that is the way that I see this card going moving forward. Now, all of that out of the way, we've talked a lot about Chaosdramon X-Antibody. There is another card that got spoiled, and it is almost as exciting. It is a super, super cool card, and that is Super Eradication Attack. Now, again, I've seen lots of different translations for this card, some a bit more violent than others. So don't harp on the name or anything like that. It's probably going to change a bunch more. I've seen several different translations just today in the day it's been spoiled. But this is a really, really cool card. All right, to begin with, this is a 2-to-play option card that is both black and red. While you have a level 6 Digimon with Machine and his traits in play, you may use this card without meeting its color requirements. Pretty much the, again, primary reason that's tacked on is if you have EX1 Machinedramon. Again, I like that they're still kind of playing around that first centerpiece. He is still, in a lot of ways, the centerpiece of the archetype. Basically, that means that you can still play this. This has the crazy effect, main, choose one of your Digimon with Cyborg or Machine, generic, I'm about it, in its traits. Delete that Digimon and one of your opponent's Digimon with DP less than or equal to the chosen Digimon's DP. This is a 2-memory removal spell. Wow, this card is bonkers. And I will go ahead and just get it out of the way as well. The security effect is the actual identical security effect to Attack of the Heavy Mobile Digimon, which, if you've been playing Machinedramon and you have come across that card in your security, it has saved me from quite a few games. It is a very useful security effect, and this, having another copy of that on removal also coming out of your hand for 2 memory, is crazy to think about. So I am super excited about this. Now we'll talk a little bit about the synergies. One of the first questions I saw people asking in Discords, which is pretty easy to just go ahead and cover. When you choose your Cyborg or Machine, if you choose your Machinedramon, does it have to be deleted in order to delete your opponent's Digimon? No. By my understanding of the way that the words are written here, once again, it would be destroyed, but in place of destruction, you'd attach 2, and your opponent's Digimon still bites it. So you're going to be paying 2 memory. You get to keep your level 6 machine, in theory, in play, albeit 2 sources lighter, but in response, in addition to that, you get to just wipe something off your opponent's board for only 2 memory. This, again, is why I think it's going to be so important to start building more around EX3 Chaosdramon and the new Chaosdramon, less so than Machinedramon. Machinedramon is still phenomenal, of course, and this is still going to be great with that card. That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is those cards are going to have a lot more sources that they can get rid of, especially if you are playing around the new Chaosdramon X-Antibody. You'll be able to keep replenishing sources. In theory, if you go on EX3 Chaosdramon, minimum, you're probably going to be starting with 7 sources, because figure, if you build on a stack, you're going to have 1 initial, 3 from your EX3 Chaosdramon Digivolution, 3 more when you go into the X-Antibody. So you are starting with 7 alone. That's before you tuck anything off of the new Chaosdramon's effect. So this card is going to be very, very useful, where you are tossing probably just, in all honesty, throwaway materials to delete one of your opponent's Digimon. This is an incredibly powerful, incredibly diverse removal spell. So these 2 cards are starting BT12 off incredibly well. I, as a Machinedramon player, and I know a lot of you guys, you've all been asking to hear my thoughts, so hopefully this video wasn't too terribly long, and you've heard pretty well all of my thoughts on it. I think I've summarized everything that I wanted to say pretty solidly at this point. But I have had some people ask, what else are you hoping to see for this archetype? If you were to give me my wish list, it's going to be the same as I gave my top 5 wish list for the Digimon TCG. I am still crossing my fingers and hoping to goodness that this is the sign that we are going to get more low-to-the-ground Machinedramon support in BT12. I wasn't expecting any Machinedramon support in BT12, but this has me hopeful all of a sudden. You got my hopes up, Bandai. Please don't let me down. Even if you just gave us an egg would be tremendously helpful. Anything that is not Pokemon or Hotmon would be great. Something that provides us reason to be playing cyborgs and machines. They keep running with this theme of any cyborg or any machine. We need to see more of that. So an egg, a rookie, and a champion is really the top of my wish list. I would love to see those from BT12, but we'll have to wait and see, guys. I am just over the moon excited for this. I am super excited. Bandai, if you were trying to get me hyped for BT12, congratulations. You got what you wanted. I am very excited for this, and I know you guys are as well. With that, thank you all so much for joining me for another quick video. I'm an avid herpetologist. If you guys have been checking out the content and are enjoying what you see, feel free to leave a like and subscribe. I am more than happy to engage with you guys. If you have any questions or want to hear further thoughts, leave a comment down below or comment in Discord. I'm more than happy to respond to any and all questions that you guys have. With that, I hope you guys have a great rest of your night, and I will see you all next time.